In this video, I'm going to try to teach you about how much time you should spend learning versus doing. In this day and age, it's pretty much guaranteed that if you are learning a new skill, specifically something like tabletop wargaming hobby, building, painting, all that kind of stuff, you are probably learning it online, whether it's videos, whether it's a blog, whether it's maybe even a podcast, potentially an online class, something like that. Now, there are outliers. Obviously, you can learn and take seminars in painting and building and all kinds of hobby-related stuff from some of the best people in the world at the big conventions like Adepticon and Nova Open. And that's great. But for the most part, most of us, because of the ease of use and how free it is, all that kind of stuff, most of us go online to learn how to get into the hobby to begin with or how to further our hobby techniques. And as I've said many, many times before, it's an amazing time to be alive with all of this. Obviously, I enjoy helping you folks get to where you need to go in the hobby, and I enjoy also making the videos just because I like making videos, and I enjoy being able to meet with you and things like that at conventions, like I mentioned previously, and have conversations and all that kind of stuff. It's great. But there is kind of a downside sometimes to this online form of learning. The downside is that sometimes we can become a little addicted to it to a degree, and it actually replaces the thing that we are trying to learn as the actual thing that we're doing. If you're spending the majority of your time learning about something but not actually doing that thing, then are you actually wasting your time? There's nothing wrong with learning stuff. If you learn about history, then that's kind of the piece in itself. You learn about history and then you don't go and make history. I mean, you could, I guess, but in general, that's not the case. You're learning history and it's just straight knowledge. But when you're trying to learn a craft or a skill, really the most important thing about it is to actually then take what you've learned and do something with it. And I'm not going to fault you if you decide that you want to spend the majority of your screen time learning new things on YouTube or the internet in general, as opposed to just watching TV shows. I do pretty much the same. When I'm spending screen time, it is predominantly on YouTube, learning about video stuff, learning about hobby stuff, learning about lots of different things, as opposed to sitting and watching television programs and shows about people that may or may have not existed and all that kind of stuff. Your average television shows. I watch more educational to some degree YouTube than I do normal television. And that's not for everybody, but it's how I like to work it. But the trick is that there are some people whose entertainment is linked directly to their education. And so they spend hours and hours and hours a day learning how to do things. But then there's not enough hours left in the day to actually do those things. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. But if you then say, man, I just never seem to actually get anything done. I've been learning all about how to paint models, but I'm not getting any models painted. Then you need to actually start looking at the ratio between the amount of time that you are educating yourself online or whatever, predominantly online, versus actually doing the thing. I've talked in the past about how actually doing the thing is the more important of the two. You obviously have to learn first, but then building the muscle memory is how you really learn to paint. It's from a ways back. Pachow. But the fact is that you need to limit to some degree how much education that you pull in through the internet and then maximize your actual doing, because not only are you just not getting anything done if you're just learning but never doing, you're also really kind of slowing down the whole point of getting into the hobby, which is to have either just amazing looking models that you like to look at because you're into display painting, or having models to put on the table and play and have a good game with your friends. So how much is too much? Well, a rule of thumb is generally, in my mind, 10-90. So 10% of the time, if you are learning, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, that kind of stuff, then you need to spend 90% of that amount of time doing the actual thing. Meaning, if you spend an hour in a week watching YouTube videos about how to paint, then you should try to spend hopefully 9 hours in that same week actually sitting down and painting. Now, if you do not have 9 hours in a week to paint, which a lot of us don't because we've got multiple jobs and multiple family units, kids and whatever, all that jazz, totally get it. So, then you just start doing some fractions. If you've got 4.5 hours, then you spend a half hour learning. But the trick is you need to make sure that you're not spending your hobby time just learning and never doing, because not only does it not actually help you to go further along, you can learn and learn and learn all day long, but without actually putting a brush to a model, you are not actually doing anything. Not only is that the problem, but you're also just not getting things done. And then that comes back as a kind of I don't want to say depression, but it definitely kind of can bum you out when you're looking at all this painted plastic. I've talked about that many times. There's not enough hands for me to pachow to those types of videos, but you have to understand that don't just constantly be a learner without being a doer. Now, of course, as in all things, there are caveats here. I'm not telling you that you can't sit and watch a Twitch streamer who's painting or something like that while you're painting. I mean, I do the Every Other Sunday show, strangely enough, every other Sunday. And a lot of people like to watch that, sort of watch, really more listen, while they're actually doing their own hobby, whether it's building, painting, whatever. And that's fine, because that is at that situation kind of like an audiobook or a podcast that you can get set up so that you can be having something to focus on listen-wise while you actually paint. I can barely paint or hobby without something to listen to. So if it's a streamer who's, talking about painting, let's say it's Sam, you could check him out here, or many of the other streamers out there, that's great. And that's not a problem. I kind of don't count that amount of time. I don't count podcasts while I'm hobbying. I don't count pretty much anything while I'm hobbying. It's the just sitting and just watching and learning, which is good. You need to learn, but learning is kind of useless without actually doing. So honestly, what I would do is, if you know roughly in any given week, and you have different things going on, maybe you got band practice on Tuesday nights, so there's no hobbying on Tuesday nights, and you go out with your friends on Friday night, so there's no hobbying on Friday night, or whatever you got going on. You spend time with your family all day Sunday afternoon, something along those lines. You know the times when you can and cannot paint or build or whatever with your hands, the hobby stuff. So let's say you've got 6 hours this week and you can do that. If you catch yourself, basically for more than whatever that, 10% of that amount of time, you're sitting there just watching YouTubery, like myself, that's fine. But if you spend that time just learning, let's say you got 6 hours, but if you spent 3 hours just watching YouTube and learning and surfing through some blogs, then that's not really helping your final output. So take into consideration, and again, I harp on this all the time, you've probably got some sort of cell phone type device. It's probably got a timer. If you really want to progress in your hobby, be mindful of what you're doing when you're just spending your time. If you're sitting in front of your laptop or whatever, your phone, and you're watching YouTube or whatever, when you get to a certain amount of time, make that timer go off and then go, okay, now I've got to paint. And then take the things that you've learned. This is the most important thing about learning. Take the things that you've learned and then actually put them into practice. And you will be amazed. And you don't believe me, but it's true. You will be amazed at what taking your learning, putting it into your practice, and doing it over and over again on a schedule over time will do for your hobby output.